Welcome to the Library is Open podcast, the official podcast of ByWater Solutions, where we discuss all things open source and library technology. Today, our special guests are Kelly and Jessie of Monday Minutes fame. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Library is Open podcast. I have some very special guests today, Jessie and Kelly, who you probably recognize from Monday Minutes. But if you are new to the ByWater world, you might see some of our memes and be like, who are these people with the Bitmojis every Monday that pop up on my feed? So we're going to kind of let you get to know them a little bit. So first, I'm going to start off with Jessie. If you want to kind of tell us how you got into the library world.
Yeah. So let's see. When I was in college, I started out as a math major, but I got a job working at the university library as like a student worker. And so for like 2 years, I was working in the periodicals department and I just loved helping people. And so I switched my major to library science. And so after that, my first job that I got was working in a hospital. So I was a medical librarian. And so I processed periodicals and, worked with doctors and nurses. And from there, I moved to Florida, went back, got my master's in library science, and started off as a law librarian. So I did that for like 5 years. And I love that because I got to work with both the public through the county public library system. And then I also moonlighted as a law librarian for a firm. So I got both perspectives, which was neat. And then I transitioned into working for a consortium, the Tampa Bay Library Consortium, where I got to do lots of training and just working with all types of libraries, public, academic, and special. And then I transitioned into ByWater, where I started out as a Koha educator. And I've been here for almost 8 years in October. And so I love it so much, just getting to work with librarians from day to day.
Okay, Kelly and I were both shook when you said math major. We were like, what?
Seriously, I had no idea, Jessie.
Yeah, that's what I started as.
We're both going to add that tomorrow to our things we learned. See, was it? And I'm taking all my math questions to you now. Okay, Kelly, tell us about you. How did you get into the library world?
Mine is not as crazy as Jessie's, but my first degree is in actually hotel and restaurant management. So my bachelor's I got at a college in Erie, Pennsylvania called Mercyhurst, and which is a ByWater partner. So shout out to Mercyhurst University for that. And after I had my first child, I couldn't go back into the hotel world because it is a 24/7, 365-day work. So I started working at a local bookstore, a Walden Books, if everyone remembers those. And it really just kind of brought back those feelings of like comfort and joy with books. You know, I had my first child and I was really immersing myself in like personal reading and then reading to my child. And I thought, why not go back to school and do something that I know in my heart is really where I could, go big. So that's what I did. And then for a while, I did not work in a library until I started working at a public librarian at a 63 library consortium in Vermont. So we moved to Vermont after I got my master's and loved it. I loved working in my community. So my very small community in Vermont. I started off as technical services and then moved over to adult services, and then finally a systems librarian job, which I feel like I really excelled at because I got to still work with patrons, but also use technical skills that I knew I had and get into the deep part of library world. My consortium was on Koha, supported by ByWater. So I then applied for a job with ByWater as a Koha educator, and I did that for a good 5 years. And have now evolved over to the sales department, but my love for educating and, speaking out about Koha and open source is still very near and dear to my heart because I think that's the most important.
That's so awesome. A former Walden Books employee. I'm a former marketing. That's awesome. Well, that was fabulous. So now I just kind of want to talk a little bit about how Monday Minutes got started. What was the origin story of that? And what has it kind of evolved into today? And kind of what's your goal with it moving forward? So either of you can speak on that.
I'll start and then Jessie can jump in. When we both started, Koha versions were changing from a 3.0 over to more associated with the year. So the first version was 1605. So we were doing the year plus the month of May. We both worked with doing those, resources for our libraries, and realized we had a lot of outdated material because everything was associated with that Koha 3 version. And as we started to kind of delve into that, I know Jessie was more into the stats of YouTube and realized that people were, in essence, only watching a portion of these videos. So now you can take it, Jessie.
Yeah, so we saw that, like Kelly said, people were just watching for like 1 to 3, 5 minutes max, and then it would drop off. And a lot of our videos were really long, where it was showing you like an entire process. So we thought, what if we start something where we just do short chunks? We show people how to do something, we follow it up with a step-by-step instruction, and then they have videos. That way, both mediums for learning could be addressed, visual and written. And we started Monday Minutes, and we just celebrated 4 years this summer, which was incredible. And, moving forward, we listen to what the community has to say. So if a community member says, hey, can you do something on this? We add that to our list. We also work very closely with our support team to see if there's a continued theme of questions that come through. That way we can add that in. And then of course, our favorite is we always talk about the upgrades. So what's coming in the next release? And of course, that's like a big celebration for us, because then we get to see all the cool things that are coming in the new release.
I'm sure you can dig pretty deep into the YouTube world, and you'll find videos that Jessie and I do together that are not associated with Monday Minutes while we were still just brewing that idea. And then finally, we're like, let's do this. And we truly, since creating our Bitmojis and our little promotional thing, we have not missed a week. In 4 years, we have religiously done it every week. And it's just amazing to go out to the conferences, and people are super excited to meet us. If we're out there alone, they're wondering where the other person is.
Y'all are attached at the hips. I love it. It's like a duo. Truly the dynamic duo. And that is amazing. You haven't missed a week, because that is rare that something doesn't miss a holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Wow. So speaking of community and conferences, I know there are 2 amazing conferences coming up, and I was hoping maybe you'd speak on that a little bit and tell us more about what those are going to be like, and maybe how people can still get involved.
Yeah. I'll start with KohaCon. So KohaCon is coming up starting on August 14th. Now, KohaCon is the international conference that happens every year. Every year, a country or library hosts the KohaCon. It's usually about a week, where there's several days of presentations, and then there's a few days of Hackfest, or where users get together and they work on not only the code, but also documentation and helping people learn things, which is really valuable. Last year it was here in the US, in Kansas, which was in correspondence with Koha US. And this year, Kelly and I and several other team members from ByWater are traveling over to Finland, where we'll be presenting on Koha, and we're really excited about it, just to be a part of the community, see people that remotely, we're chatting with them in either IRC or commenting on bugs. We'll get to be with them in person and really work on the message of what Koha means to the Koha community.
And then in September, I was just pulling up the date so I would know, it's starting September 20th, Koha US is having their conference, which again is another annual Koha conference. Not even specific to just the United States. Anybody is welcome. You do not have to be a member of any of these organizations to attend. And it's going to be in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And the same values that we talk about, Jessie talked about with Koha Con, is going to resonate through to Koha US. It's another community opportunity to get together with fellow users, other librarians using Koha, to start networking if you're new to Koha, and talking to other folks maybe in your same, library sector, or if you're just wondering how they're doing something. It's great, again, as Jessie said, to put a name to a face. Maybe you've talked to them in Slack or through IRC. And again, it's presentations done by fellow librarians and vendors to talk about Koha and migrating to Koha in specific areas. I know there's an acquisition one, there's an ERM one, and then in addition to individual presentations, there will be special interest group opportunities. So Koha US really, delves into allowing librarians to talk to similar librarians and creating what's known as special interest groups. So there's a special interest group for consortiums that you can meet, and they meet monthly, for circulation, for acquisitions, for web services, for administration. Again, to really just have that opportunity to communicate, network, and learn something and continuously grow. And I think that's the goal of Koha is is to push out this knowledge. And again, for those users to then help build Koha to the next level, because as soon as we start to see this, vibrant community continuously giving back to Koha, we're going to get better and better versions. Not that we're not already, because they're super exciting. But again, this is in September. There is still registration open. They will have live streaming opportunities. So if you cannot travel, you will have that opportunity to watch those presentations. And we do have some ByWater folks going there as well to show off their skills.
That's super duper exciting. So we will share the links to all of that in the notes so y'all can check it out and get involved. And I guess just one more fun little thing before we depart for the day, but do either of you have like a favorite memory from a conference or a favorite location that a conference was held at? Just something to get people kind of hyped up about it.
I'll say when we hosted KohaCon 2018 in Portland, that was really an amazing experience because the entire ByWater Solutions team got to attend that conference. So Koha US also partnered, and then we had people travel from all over the world to come to Portland, Oregon, and have that experience. So that was just awesome for us to all be together in one room, sharing ideas, and it was just awesome. I'll never forget that.
For me, I really appreciated Koha US 2021, which was in McKinney, Texas. And we had felt like we had been alone in our rooms in a Zoom session for, 18 months. And to be able to emerge again and talk face to face really makes you feel good and warm inside. So that was in McKinney, Texas in 2021. But I'm just going to say, for me, for 5 years, I worked with libraries to migrate them to Koha. And I'm just so happy to see any of the librarians that I worked with at any of the libraries that I worked with show up at a conference, because that means that I've communicated how important it is, how their voice matters, how they can empower themselves and get better, and how open source works. So just having that little, person that could, convert or whatever, to be able to come, and their library supports them. And we're going to open keep open arms to anyone who's willing to grow and learn Koha. And then hopefully at some point they'll speak at a Koha conference. That's really what I like to see, is just that growth of new people and, how they evolve.
All the feels. I love that. All the feels. Was there any other final thoughts before we bid everyone adieu, anything we forgot about? I think that was pretty much it.
No, I always want to say, don't ever feel like you can't be a part of the community because you don't know how to code. Every little piece of communication, you have an idea about how Koha can work better, or a suggestion about how maybe something can be 1 click instead of 2 or 3 clicks. Like, that voice matters. And that is how Koha becomes the product it is, the best product that's out there for librarians to manage their ILS, is all of those voices. So even those little things, the feedback helps.
Oh, that's awesome, Jessie. Great job. You're right.
Yeah.
Love it. More feels.
I think we have to end it with that, because there's no way to top that. That was beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for being with us and letting people get to know you a little better. If you don't already get the Monday Minutes, you can subscribe to our emails. I will share a link to that as well. Follow us on all the socials, definitely, so you can keep up with what Kelly and Jessie are doing when they're abroad. And yeah, that's it. So have a great day, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Elise.
Thank you for joining us on the Library is Open podcast. For more information or for any suggestions on future guests, email outreach@bywatersolutions.com.